What's going on? It's the Big Rig Bull Texas Truck Accident Lawyer Reshard Alexander here on a Friday, June 7th, 2019, I believe. Today's topic is going to be basically an overview of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations. Besides that, we're going to talk about a few other things. So I just signed a new lease here at 7676 Hillmont. I'll be moving downstairs in approximately about 2 weeks or so to get everything ready. As you can see, this office is really bare bones at this point right now. I only have a few things up on the wall still, but I'll be preparing to move downstairs, and this is a big move for me. But one thing that has dawned on me in all of this is that I need to find some help. I need to find some staff. I need to find a web developer. I need to find a receptionist / paralegal. That's pretty much it. That will do for right now. And a marketing specialist. Because although I know how to create content, I don't always know how to properly distribute it. So if you aren't aware, the FMCSR is asking for comments regarding detention times for truck drivers at shipping and receiving areas across the nation. I imagine that this is probably a really big issue for most truck drivers, and this is a great time for you to comment and let them know exactly what you're going through when you're dealing with your on-duty time but the non-driving time. Instead of doing a personal injury question of the day, I felt that the best thing to do was a checklist of what you should do when you are involved in a car accident. So the number one thing is you should turn on your flashers. Obviously you won't be able to do that if it's a rear end collision and the back end of the car has been completely just smashed up. But if that is not the case, put on your flashers, because that is a way for the police, local law enforcement to be able to see your car when they're coming up to you. That is a way to notify other drivers around you that there is something going on mechanically wrong with your car, or that you are in some type of distress. It's the best thing to do. Okay, the number two thing is you need to call the police. Okay, so don't wait until you get out of the vehicle to assess the damage. Don't wait till you talk to the other driver, because the other driver may try to talk you out of actually calling the police. And the reality of it is that if anyone is ever injured in a car wreck, it's required by law to call the police. That, or I believe $1,000 or damage or more. It's property damage. But if someone is injured, you have to call the police. So just go ahead and, if you're injured, go ahead and call the police so they can come out there and give you an accurate report of what's going on, and that way the other driver won't be able to go out there and then change their story when they talk to their insurance company, because the police officer will have already documented everything there in the file. The other thing is, once you call the police, then you exchange insurance information with the other driver. Okay, exchanging insurance information with the other drivers, it's obviously common sense. You have to do that. But the next thing you need to do after that is you need to identify any witnesses on the scene. Okay, identify any witnesses on the scene and get their phone numbers, get their contact information, because once again, if it's a car accident and it's your word versus the other person, and you don't get a police report, and this happens very often, if you don't have a witness statement, a lot of times the other insurance company is going to deny liability altogether, and so you will be stuck between a rock and a hard place, especially if you do not have uninsured motorist coverage. So after that, you want to take pictures. The next thing is to take pictures. So you can take pictures with your phone. You don't have to have a Canon, whatever, Nikon, whatever. You just, smartphones are good enough these days to at least capture, what pretty much took place, where you were hit, the position of the cars and all that. You want to take a picture of the debris field. You want to take a picture of any gouge marks on the streets. You want to paint a whole picture. When I say take pictures, I don't mean just take pictures of the car. Take pictures of any bruises, cuts, lacerations, anything that shows specifically how you were hurt or damaged in this wreck. All right, here we are on a lovely Friday. We're about to wrap this week up, but we're going to go ahead and get started on the FMCSR overview. I've pretty much already covered what a commercial motor vehicle is, but just for the sake of this overview, I'm going to just kind of briefly go over it again. So pretty much a commercial motor vehicle is going to be a motor vehicle that transports some type of commerce along our highways, and it's going to and the weight is going to be 10,001 pounds or more. Okay, now it's going to have to transport property or passengers for the most part, and the main thing is that anything that is that weight and is doing those things that I just said has to abide by the FMCSR. I should have brought my book in here with me to show you the FMCSR, but it's the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations. I mean, that concept is not too difficult to understand. But the FMCSR establishes the minimum standards of motor vehicle operation. As I said before, the definition of a commercial motor vehicle is going to be 10,001 pounds or more. You must abide by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations. It's going to transport property and passengers in commerce. So when we're talking about in commerce, we're talking about goods being transported along our highways. And there are two types of commerce. You have interstate commerce and you have intrastate commerce. And so interstate commerce is basically state-to-state commerce. Intrastate is going to be within one state itself. Okay? So it's possible, though, for a motor carrier or for a trucker to be part of a interstate chain of trucking, even though they may only be transporting from one place to another, if the goods and the part that they're involved in is considered part of a much bigger chain. So if you are dealing with a truck accident case and you're dealing with interstate commerce, then what needs to happen is you're going to have to consult the FMCSR regulations. If you are dealing with a intrastate case or a state case, you're going to have to consult the your state CDL manual and everything like that. So what determines what's going to determine the interstate versus intrastate commerce is going to be the shipper. At the time of the conception of this whole idea of transporting a good in commerce, the shipper's fixed and persisting intent combined with all ascertainable facts and circumstances. Yeah, that sounds crazy, I know. But it basically means, what did the shipper intend to do when they formed a contract to move these goods? Did they intend to move them down the street? Did they intend to move them to California? And what shows us what they intended to do? Was it bills of lading? Were the driver logs? Do the driver logs show us that they transported from one place to another? How far they went? What did the contract say between the shipper and the broker, the motor carrier, trucker? So all the ascertainable facts can come into play when you're determining whether a case is a interstate trucking case, interstate commerce trucking case, or an intrastate trucking commerce case. Now, I wanted to briefly go over these exceptions because there are a lot of exceptions to the FMCSR. So I couldn't remember all of these just off the top of my head with all the other stuff I have going on, so I wrote them down. So I'm going to go down this list for you. These are the exceptions to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations. So that means that these vehicles don't necessarily have to abide by those same regulations as we've already mentioned. So a commercial motor vehicle that transports only school children and teachers to or from school, that's not gonna work. Motor vehicles providing taxi cab services is the second one. Number 3 is motor vehicles operated by hotels to transport patrons back and forth. Number 4 is a farmer motor vehicle used to transport supplies back and forth, agricultural commodities or supplies. Number 5 is the transportation of ordinary livestock, agricultural or horticultural commodities. So, livestock, animals, agriculture, plants, and all that type of stuff. Number 6 is motor vehicles used to distribute newspapers. Number 7 is transportation of passengers or property dealing with aircraft, or if there are adverse weather conditions and the airplane breaks down, the vehicles that will have to go out there and help the people and whatnot wouldn't necessarily have to fall under the FMCSR regulation. Motor vehicles operated in national parks or monuments don't fall in this category. Number 9 is a motor vehicle that carries less than 15 or more passengers to or from work. Number 10 is transporting used pallets or empty shipping containers. Number 11 is, there are some exceptions for vehicles that move crushed rocks for decorative purposes. There are some exceptions for trucks that move wood chips, and there are some exceptions for trucks that move crushed glass. So that's the number 11. And then number 12 is a motor vehicle that's used only in a one municipality. So let's say if it was used just in Harris County, it may not qualify. Additionally, the last one is any type of casual, occasional, or reciprocal usage, but it's not part of a regular occupation or business, that may qualify as an exception as well. It's Friday, so I'm trying to go through this as quickly as possible, so I can go ahead and do what else I need to do. But if your truck fails, if a truck fails inspection, the Federal Highway Association inspectors must record the results of any driver equipment compliance check and place it out of service with a sticker on the windshield or whatnot. And on that commercial motor vehicle that fails inspection, you can't operate it until all the repairs are made on that truck and takes it out of service status. So no one can remove that sticker. No one, not even the CEO of the motor carrier, business owner, operator, whoever. Nobody can remove it. When this all is done, the driver must deliver an inspection report at his or her next stop at the carrier's facility or terminal. So once the truck has been repaired, the driver has to turn around and give that inspection report to the motor carrier. Now, if they're on a run and they're far away from a terminal or the facility, then they have to mail that a copy of that report to the motor carrier, and the motor carrier is supposed to certify it within 15 days that all the issues are corrected, and that then they have to hold that report in their files for a whole year, starting with that day, starting with the day of the inspection. So the only other thing that I wanted to briefly cover was an unsafe dispatch. So a dispatcher cannot set up or schedule a run that would violate speeds of the jurisdictions they would have to pass through. So if they need to go to Georgia, and between here, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, whatever, they only say you can go 40 miles an hour. I mean, this is hypothetical, but they only say you can go 40 miles an hour, and the dispatch sets it up so that they're going to drive 60 miles an hour to get where they have to go on time. That's an unsafe dispatch, and that's illegal. You can't do that. And there are ways to look that up, which I'm not going to really discuss here, but there are ways to look that up if someone, if a dispatcher decides to do that. There are ways for lawyers to track that type of stuff and discover whether or not you were on the up and up with your dispatch. So that ends today. I hope you guys have a great Friday or a great Saturday, because that's when you'll be seeing this. And I will see you later. Take it easy.
Yeah!